Nerdchachos, how's it going? Thanks for coming along to this latest episode of our Planet Zoo Let's Play series, and we're back in our zoo Roars and Claws. Episode 9, wow. I didn't think we were going to get to episode 9. I genuinely thought my inspiration would run out after a couple of episodes, and that would be it. But here we are, and we've done loads. Look at this. This is our zoo so far. If you haven't seen it yet, then this is the last episode. We took it a little bit easy. I needed a bit of a break. I needed a bit of an inspiration boost, and I didn't want to force it out because the croc exhibit that we did really took it out of me. That needed a lot of imagination, a lot of attention, a lot of focus. So I just needed a chill out episode. So we did the llamas and we did the car park, and we were talking in the last episode about the lore of the zoo and how this would pan out, and why this area isn't as high quality and well put together as the rest of the area. And no, it's not because of laziness or anything like that. It's partly because Planet Zoo itself as a game doesn't like us using the actual physical pathway as paved areas for large expanses. It messes up the AI. It really struggles to compute the CPU because it's got to calculate all of the points and whether there's anything there, and it really plays with the AI. So we were deciding that in terms of the lore of this zoo, this probably isn't the zoo's land. It might be rented from a farmer, or it might be rented from somebody else. So it doesn't actually belong to the zoo. It's not theirs. But also, it might have to be kept as a field or kept as unpaved area because of drainage. Particularly as this is a bit of a valley down here, and you've got the water level that's along here. So when it rains, it's either going to flood this area, flood the bottom area, or it's going to flood somewhere else. And so this water up here needs a way of draining off. We were discussing in the last episode that this is a precedent that's been set. I've seen it in theme parks. I've seen it in zoos before, where they can't physically pave over their car park because it's a drainage thing. So even though it's not as well put together as the rest of the zoo is coming together, I quite like it. I quite like how it's sort of a bit of a juxtaposition between this ultra modern, ultra refined look and a bit bland. I don't think in real life this would be as bland as this. It's all about first impressions with a zoo like this, isn't it? But it's fine. It works as we want it to, does its job, and it's not functional anyway, right? So we don't need car parks really. We're just doing it for the sake of the realism. We also just did this llama habitat as well. We had to move them from the front of the entrance. So here they are, happily playing in their new land. Look at them. Hello, there's a baby one. We've got a baby. And I just did this little shed. They don't need hard shelter, but we did it anyway. So they've just got some space to chill out in the sun if they want to when it rains. So this is our focus for the next couple of episodes. And I've had a few ideas on what I want to do. Ultimately, we're going to be having giraffes in this area. We're going to be having pandas in this area, and we're going to be having elephants in this sort of area. Maybe rhinos as well, because I know that the elephants and rhinos can go together. That sort of makes sense. And I still need to make a decision what I'm going to put in here. And I'm thinking a larger habitat, but that requires a smaller interaction. So yeah, one where there's a lot of privacy that's needed as a habitat, but can still be seen by guests. But that's way down the line. I need to decide what goes on here. First off, we need to make a decision about how far back we go this way. So giraffe exhibit today. I'm so excited about the giraffes for reasons that I'll go through on all of the updates. But they're just beautiful animals. They're amazing to feed. If you ever get the opportunity to go and feed a giraffe, I really recommend that you go and do it, because they're funny. They're your best friend if you've got some kind of vegetation, some kind of salad in your hand. But the second that you go near them and try and stroke them, they're like, nope, you can back off. It's just so funny, and they're just so gentle. Like you would think that they are really quite tough, really quite forceful when they feed, but no, they are just so gentle. You just have to hold your hand out, and they will just come to you, and they just gently take this salad or whatever it is that you've got out of your hand, and then they walk away and eat it. They're like, it's strange that they're so comfortable with humans, but not comfortable at the same time. You can't touch them or stroke them, but they'll happily eat from your hand. It's Oh, it's brilliant, honestly. If you ever get a chance to go and do it, I really, really recommend that you do it. So the inspiration for this is taken a little bit from Chester Zoo, as I've noticed that they've I say just submitted the plans. When you Google it, it looks like they've just submitted plans, but I haven't checked at how far advanced their building work is. In the sense that you've got this very high, probably two-story viewing area that also serves as a restaurant area and also serves as some kind of shop area. Um, and then the exhibit extends right the way out, and then you've got a central viewing area in the middle that you can just sort of walk out and you can see 360 views of the giraffes. So I've kind of stolen that idea from them and refined it a little bit. The difference being inspired by the giraffe feeding, and that's why I told the story. I wanted to incorporate that into this building as well, where you could look out at the exhibit on this side, but you could also look in at them being fed, or potentially have the opportunity to feed them if you so wished, if there were gaps and whatever, on this side as well, on the back side. And then this also starts to form part of the backstage area that we're going to have for whatever exhibits we have facing outwards this way. It starts to create that hub that we were talking about. So anyway, that's enough of me waffling on for what we're going to do with this episode. We actually need to get on with doing something in this episode. So with that in mind, this is the first update. All right, update one time. So here we go. I've started to plan out the actual habitat itself and where it's going to go. And as part of the giraffe habitat, they need to have a fence that's at least 2 meters tall, and it has to be grade 3 or stronger. So that pretty much just leaves us with this steel mesh fence. Luckily for us, if you use building pieces, it tends to ignore the requirement completely. So technically speaking, this very flimsy looking mesh fence that I've made with the pillars and the trellises actually would be sufficient enough to hold them back. So what I'm going for is this is similar to what I've done over here and what we did with the turtles and have a double fencing. So I've got the mesh fence sitting on the back here, and then I've got the trellis fence that I've got. It's going to be along the front here, and so that's just going to trim it off and make it look a little bit better. I don't like the idea of having these fences right up to the path. It's very stark. It almost needs a bit of like bordering off. Need a bit of trimming out and whatever. So I've planned out the habitat. I think it's going to be big enough. Especially as we're only going to put giraffes in. I know that we can technically put other animals in. We could put ostriches and other African savanna, is that a thing? African animals in as well. I've decided that for almost realism aspects, we're going to have a service road that's going to run down this way, but it's just going to be concrete pad. It's not going to be an actual service road because the access for the keeper's hut is going to be here. And then the access to the habitat will be sort of around this area where the keeper can come in and come down this way. So yeah, I've just put the facilities that are needed over here. Need to sort out what's going on with hitbox radiuses and negative impact radiuses. Make sure that the transformer is decorated enough to reduce it by the 50% needed because of where it's positioned. But worst case scenarios, I can just swap them around, put this one further back because the transformer's got the bigger hate box. Yeah, and I've also started to plan out how the entrance to this building is going to look. So I wanted to keep it on a level. We're gonna have to bring the terrain down, aren't we? At some point, it's gonna have to come down on a hill. So it sort of seems a little bit fitting that it would be a lower level and it would stagger up in steps up to this point. So I've sort of worked with that, and I've put the steps in already, and the ramp for accessibility down the other side, and then this would just be an open frontage, and then this would all be an open glass frontage as well. And then I've decided that it's going to be a two-story thing as well, where you're going to be able to come up here and look out on one side and seats and whatever on the other, and make that a bit more seat friendly, if you like. So that's pretty much where we're sitting at the moment. I don't know how I'm feeling at the moment about copying this idea of the circle in the middle. It feels a bit lazy, but it also feels like the best way of having a 360 panoramic view of giraffes, because you'd be able to stand here and look all the way around either side. Whereas the tortoises serves a purposes in the sense of creating a central area that you can see two different habitats. So they serve different purposes, even though they're pretty much the same design. But yeah, I think it's going to be okay. I'll see if I can sort of make it fit. And I'm toying with the idea of having a full-on cover across here rather than leaving it open. I don't know if I'm going to use the thatch and stuff here yet. So, but that's where we're at the moment. I think the next step is going to put the giraffes in and making sure that we've got no escape points, and making sure that they're happy with the area and the requirements and everything, and then go from there. So, see you in the next update. Oh well, who do we have here? Hello, giraffe. Yeah, we've got a giraffe in the habitat, and she seems happy enough. And we've already got baby on the way, so we've got a male and a female, and I don't know. There he is, or her. I can't remember which one's which, because they've moved. But we've got two, and we've got a baby on the way, so that's good. And the good news is, all of this that we've done, no escape points, nothing at all. So this is going to be good in terms of habitat. I've already fully researched the giraffes as well, and we've already put down all of the available enrichment items, and they seem to still not be happy with enrichment items, and I don't know what to do, because I've put all of the available ones for giraffes down, and I don't know what else they need. And I don't know if it's because they need to be enriched by having other animals in the habitat to play with. So I might need to toy with that, and I might need to look into putting a second or third animal. I might put some ostriches in, because we've got a big enough space, so they can run around and they can do what they need to do. So I need to play with that anyway. But in terms of the other pieces of work that I've done, so I started to build out the pens, where you're going to be able to feed, and I started to build the inside of the building, and this has taken forever. The pathing system hates this, absolutely hates it. Like it's taken far too long to do something really, really simple, but it is what it is. So I've put this frontage up. I'm not sure if I like it. It looks very 70s Art Deco rather than modern. I think it's going to depend on what we do with the roofing. And I think it's the colour scheme. I think it's because it's the white, brown and black. It just gives it that... I don't know. And inside I've gone for a pastel-y... This is actually, believe it or not, this is yellow, but it looks green. So a pastel-y yellow. I might change that to a different pastel-y colour. And this wood effect. So that it's broken up a little bit. Here are the facilities that we've got going on inside, and I've just added some toilets. And I'm in the process now of hiding everything away from the guests. And the hate box for this transformer is now reduced. It's now lower than or less than the actual area, the radius of the customer area, and it's only at 47% covered. So we're good. We're good on that one. They're not going to be affected by that necessarily. And then I've just done this. So I've done this balcony area. This is what was taking so long. So underneath, I want a seating area and a viewing area, so you can look out on the giraffes from the ground level. Look, like that. And then I also wanted to have these two separate areas where you can have benches along this one side and a viewing area on the other, where you can look out from a slightly higher level. But if you either have tickets maybe, or if you just wanted to go and see the giraffes being fed, then you can walk across the veranda, or balcony, or walkway, or whatever it's called, and you can then come into the giraffe feeding bit, and you can see them feeding, and then you'll be able to see them sleeping and in their habitat. So we're going to need to make a bit of an effort with this one. We're going to need to make it look all right, and he's hiding away. Come back. Yeah. So and then you've just got this wood paneling effect. So I just need to do the detailing, and I just need to make this look much better than it already does. And then on the outside, I kind of figured that it wouldn't be any more than a concrete building, from anything that the guests wouldn't see. So this down this side would be concrete. All of this would be concrete, and the back would be concrete as well. Remembering that this is going to be a backstage area, remember, for other exhibits and other bits. So you'd probably fence it off along this way anyway and hide it from the guests. But anything that's front facing would have some kind of decoration to it. And so that's where we're at the moment. So this is the view of the building. Yeah, just it's very 70s, isn't it? Let's see if we can make it more modern somehow. But we've got giraffes. We've got them in. Look at them. Hello. So cute. Just that's a bit close. All right, back off. Yeah, giraffe gigs. All right. Anyway, I'm going to carry on building, and I will see you in the next update. All right. Look, it's coming together quite nicely. It's changed a little bit, and we've got some more giraffes. We've had some more babies. Yay! And they're quite good for bringing people in too. They're quite the attraction. Like as soon as you have babies, you just get an influx of people that come in. So anyway, let's have a look at what we've done. So I've started the process of the backstage access area, and I've just finished off some of the more finer details in here. I've made the pens slightly bigger. I don't think they were big enough. I've just put some heaters down as well so that they've got somewhere to go when the actual snow and the winter comes. And there's some feeders and everything in here as well, and water. I just need to put the concrete pads down and the bedding, and then just kit it out with some more like aircon units and just sort of bring the area together to make it more as it should be for a habitat. Inside, or the building itself has changed slightly. I got rid of the I've got the wood effect. It was just, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. It was just the wrong colour, and I thought actually we did this kind of effect on the admin building at the very front of the zoo. So this is sort of bringing that design into here, and it looks better. It looks more comfortable with this than I am anything else. And of course, it wouldn't be the giraffe exhibit without the giraffe skylights. They're leaves, but they're not. They're giraffe print, let's be honest. So I've put those in. And I've started the process of roofing as well. Decided on a flat roof, and I've decided to keep the hole in the roof design just because it's consistent. But then I wanted a solid roof along here, and then the hole in the roof this side, so it creates a bit of it's a bit different, a bit of variation when it comes to the actual roof itself. I've started to put the planters in along here, so this is going to start to come together now. And inside, I've done a little bit of work as well. I changed the colour of the walls, so they're now a bit of a brownier pastel brown rather than this green. I kept the wood, so I just need to decorate and finish off in here. But I've also started this process as well, making this a bit more modern, making this a bit more. And this inspiration comes from a bird park in Gloucestershire called Slimbridge, and they built a new building that's relatively similar to this, but it's much higher up and it looks down on the bird park. And all of theirs is very clean. When I last went, anyway, it was all clean and crisp white. The girders, the glass railings, or the glass banisters, and this wood effect. And I've just put this wood pillar in. It's sort of without it there, it just felt very open and very sterile. And this just sort of breaks up that openness. And obviously, I'm going to put flooring down, so you're not going to see the pathing differences and stuff. Yeah, so that's what I've done inside. Like I said, I still need to decorate. I still need to make it a bit better in terms of design and bringing it together. I need to finish the roof, but I like how this is coming together. I like that this is almost like a visitor centre, and that you can see out to the giraffes, and the sun comes in and creates all of this like shadow along here. And then when the sun's high enough, the giraffe patterns are then projected onto the walls and onto the floor and stuff. So it looks good. And then I need to just finish off the viewing area here and how that's going to sit. And then, of course, I need to do the actual habitat itself. So I need to do all of the bits around the outside, and I need to do whatever's going to be in the middle here. So still, absolutely loads of work to do, but it's coming along really, really nicely. I'm now liking how this is coming along. Whereas before it was a bit questionable with the look. It just didn't feel right. But now it's starting to look as it should do. So with that in mind, I had better leave you, and I will see you for the next update. Alright, so about an hour later, and we are making some really good progress. I just wanted to do a real quick update, because I'm about to do, I think, what is going to be the biggest change, and that's going to be all of the terraforming and making the habitat as it should be. So I just wanted to show you around where things are at the moment. So we have a front of the building, which has come together quite nicely. I've just put giraffe on the front for now because I can't think of a witty name to call it, and we know that I like tortured puns, so I would imagine at some point that would change. But I've done the plaza area here. I just need to check on the height of the actual stone. I think it's probably too high, so we're going to get too much clipping. You can see feet disappear, but that's fine. Deal with that. And I've got just a bit of touching up and tidying up to do with the soil and whatever, but I just wanted to put it in as representation, just to show how it's going to look right now. And then when you come into the actual exhibit or into the building, that's now all done. Again, I just need to touch up where the glass and stuff is, and I need to put the floor down. But it's now pretty much decorated as I want it to. I want to keep it almost like a bit clean. I don't want to over decorate it, but I also don't want to make it look rubbish and under decorated. Sticking with the modern theme, and it's looking quite open, so I need to put some benches and some tables and stuff in here, but it's going to be pretty much done. And I've just put the giraffe statue, and then these all need their education pieces adding as well. But it's coming together quite nicely. It's it's the black roof, the flat roof is quite good with the skylights. I quite like how the sun dapples the giraffe print on the walls and on the floor in the middle of the day. So that's come together nicely. And then if you come outside to the viewpoint, this is what the building now looks like. So much more modern, much better than it was before when it had the wood. I'm liking this more now that it's starting to build up and starting to be finished inside and whatever. And again, you've got the holes in the roof that are just creating the sunlight coming down, and it just creates that little bit of variance with the sunlight and dappling of the shade. And then round here, I've put the fence up, so you now can't see the access point. And then I just need to put the fence the other side. And I've started to do the backstage area now. Started to kit it out with what it needs. I've put the glass in along here, and this bit's now pretty much finished. It's now habitable for them to come and chill out when it's raining, when it's snowing. Come and chill out and feed. Come and get some water. Come and rest. I don't want to put any more detail in here. Like I said in previous episodes, we've got loads of opportunities to put HVAC units and all sorts up here and make it super realistic. But what's the point? They're not functional in the game, so there is no real reason to do it. So I've just put these up here just for representation. But other than that, it looks like it should do. So from the viewing point, this is the sort of view that you get. And actually, looking back and remembering back to how it was when I fed the giraffes before, this is pretty much what you saw. It was just straight into the shed. There was no airs and graces about what you saw. It was just the shed. This is where they sleep. This is where they are. And then you've got the balcony area here, and you can look down, or you can look out that way to the giraffes and what will eventually be pandas and elephants. So that's how the building is looking right now. So just wanted to, like I said, just to update you with the progress on how that is so far. And the next update should be the final update. Alright, as if by magic, here we are. Final update time. And look at those giraffes. Just look at them playing around and eating. And hello peeps. Yes, so we are done. I think it's just a bit of admin-y type touching up work that I'm going to need to do sort of outside of an actual episode. But giraffe exhibit is done. So here it is as an overview in the rain. I'm sure you must think that I just choose the rainy times to do an update. I promise you, it rains a lot in this zoo. So yeah, whole exhibit then. So we've got our viewing area along here. along the bottom. So the idea is that you come from the gift shop, and you've walked sort of uphill a little bit here, or up to the gift shop, and now you're walking across. And then you've got your viewing area for the giraffes, where it either splits down to the right hand side in the same way that the flamingos do. I wanted to keep that idea consistent, because you either go left for the llamas or right for the giraffes. And then you walk around and you can come down to the central hub area, which has now got some kind of covering on it, which I'll talk about how that's built when I do the overview. And then that looks out upon the giraffe habitat and onto the actual building at the back, which houses, as we know, the restaurant and facilities and stuff. And then you can carry on walking around past what will be the panda habitat and what will be the elephants, and you can either walk straight on to whatever the future is going to hold, or you can come down into the actual giraffe building. So this is now all finished and complete, and as I wanted it to be. So I've just put a couple of picnic benches outside on the terrace, just because it gets the sun, but also gets the shade at the same time. So it's almost like a good place to put some picnic benches. I'm not sure why they're walking around that way, but okay, whatever floats your boat. And because of the height of the path, I've had to allow this to clip their feet. I don't like it, but in order for this to work and work with the pathing system that we've got, it's just you just sort of have to squint and pretend, I'm afraid. Yeah, just for the record, I don't like it, but it looks good. It looks like a good terrace, and it looks better than the concrete does. Let's be honest. So, yeah, trade off. And then you come into the actual giraffe area, into the giraffe building. So not much has changed since the last update, other than the floor, and same principle. I've had to raise it quite high, but luckily most of the floor area in this area is actually flat already. So yep, so you can walk through and you've got all your facilities on the left hand side, and I'd completely forgotten I'd put toilets in behind this wall, so I've just made a thing out of this and made it a step up into the toilets. And you've got your giraffe structure, and you still got all of these crisp, clean walls, the white and the glass. Just keep it very modern, very fresh. Haven't put too many tables in here. I kind of figured you would have quite a few tables, but I didn't really see the need for a load of tables. And plus, game-wise, not many guests are coming in here. It's not like they're fighting for tables and they need them or anything. So that's fine. I put all the information boards up for the giraffes, and now all of our education boards have all got the relevant pieces that are on there. And I think there's one for all of them now. So in here you've got one of every category on the boards, which is cool. When I was putting the floor in, the floor down here wasn't very even, despite the fact I'd used the terrain flattening feature. It still wasn't flat. So what I've had to do is cover it up with some stuff. So this is literally hiding a massive patch that that's sticking out the floor that it was just not going to flatten, and it would, if to flatten it, would have involved taking all of this path out, taking out the stairs, moving the barriers the other side, and redoing all of this floor. No, it's just easier to cover it up with the plan. And likewise here, it was just easier to cover it up with a Z fighting floor. So that's all I've done here. I've not done anything in this area yet, purely because it doesn't seem like guests even bother to come down here. So it begs the question as to whether this would just be a standing area rather than a seating area. I mean, you've got seats where I've hidden the floor. You've got seats along here anyway. So I thought I'd keep it that way, keep it like that, and just keep that blank. I didn't want to put anything on the walls either. I just wanted to keep it a blank area, almost as if this would be where talks would happen. You might have a tour guide come down, and you would have this area where you're looking out and you can see everything. So yeah. And then if we go upstairs, can we go up? I'm not in Tegid Cam, so because we haven't actually been upstairs yet, have we? So this is upstairs, and same principle. tables all along the outskirts, and then plenty of viewing areas on the inside. You get a great view of the giraffes from up here. I mean, look at the view. It's good. It's a good view. And so you come across, and again you can come all the way round, and you can 360. No, it's not 360. It's 180 panorama. And then, if you wanted to, and they were inside, you can come across the bridge, and you can come and see them feeding, and you can come and see them doing their thing, sleeping, snoozing, resting, whatever they do. And then we can come back this way. So again, it's got all the skylights. So you've got your giraffe pattern skylights along here, built in exactly the same way as everything else has been done, and all of the other buildings. And it's nice that it brings this in, and it now gives purpose to the other buildings and why they're on the other buildings. Because it all leads back to this giraffe building, and it's consistent. So it's the first time we've been able to, well, not the first time, it's one of the first times we've been able to tie together themes. We're using a modern building theme throughout with very similar, very familiar techniques throughout, but this is the first time, one of the first times that we've been able to actually properly tie it together and go, this is the reason why those skylights are like that in the building. So yeah, kept it very clean in here. Wanted to keep it very open. Feels a bit like a train station, really, doesn't it? Or like a modern office block, more than it does a convention centre. But hey, it's fine. And the other thing that I changed. Didn't show you the central bit. So you've got your pagoda. Is that what they're called? Pagoda. Cover thing. I don't know if it's too tall, but I like it being quite that tall. And I had to put in a solar panel just for the power for this area to be able to power the speaker that's hidden in the screens. So I've just used a technique. It's a horrible technique. Just use the distraction technique. Just make a feature out of it. It's like, yeah, it's there. It's got to be there. In an ideal world, it would be the other way around. It would face the other way. And it would be sort of lower down, but because of the way the game deals with the power system, you kind of got to work with what you've got, don't you? So, interesting thing, by the way. Around the outside of the enclosure, you've got all of this vegetation, but you'll notice I've put no trees. There are no trees at all on the outside, and the reason for that, when we did the giraffe feeding, they were telling us about the stuff that giraffes get up to, and the fact that they are quite the troublemakers, and if you put trees all along here or anywhere within their neck reach, they'll eat them. They will eat the tree. They'll eat the bark. They'll eat the leaves. They'll eat everything. They literally will eat anything that's in front of them that's plant life and stuff. So they don't put trees. They don't put trees around the outside perimeter. They put them inside. And so, even though in game they don't interact with trees in that way, they don't eat them and strip them bare and whatever. These trees in here would probably be pretty damaged. They would be pretty damaged, pretty stripped bare, and that's why you have tall trees. Partly because they can go and forage in the lower parts of the tree, and it gets there, stretching their necks and whatever. But also because they can't reach the top. So you end up with a proper tree. So that's why you'd have these like Brazil trees that are so high, because they can't actually strip them bare. They can't actually do anything bad with them. Whereas if you put like this one, for example, they would have had that away straight away. Like let's not even joke about that. That would not even be there in real life. They would have stripped that bare. So the principle remains the same along here as well. You have very low-lying bushes that, yeah, this here probably wouldn't be here in real life, but I've just used it to bulk out the area to give it a bit of character. But in real life, again, they would probably munch on these. And you have this low-lying hedgerow bushes and flowers and stuff, and the principle behind it would be they wouldn't be able to reach. They wouldn't be able to crane their necks over far enough to eat them, and they wouldn't be able to get through the fence. They might try and stick their tongues through the fence. I've seen them do that in real life, but yeah, not necessarily eating the hedges. So that's just an interesting fact that I thought I'd share with you, that that I've completely forgotten to tell you about. And then here, so this is the big thing that I changed before I went off on a tangent. Before I had the roadway going down to the backstage area here, and actually when on the sight line when we did this bit here, and you're walking along here, we spent loads of time building up this beautiful sight line and putting all the care and attention into it and making sure that it was all fit for purpose and it was all looking good. But then we sort of here was just a fence, an in your face 2 meter high fence with a gate that when you walked past you could look down and you could see the backstage area, and it just ruined everything that we did. So what, and then I thought to myself, well, it needs reconfiguring, and actually if we're planning on having the backstage area here anyway, then why are we even bringing access down this way? Like, we still got the shed, it's still there, but why are we bringing access down here when in reality we would probably bring it down here, right? Or down here and have a central hub in this, or even here where we've already got it. So scrap the idea, and I made it into a viewing area instead, and it worked out so much better, so much better than having a fence there, because now you've got the sight line of the giraffe as you walk past. So if you're walking down the lower end and you're just coming from the Galapagoses, no, Aldabras this side, aren't they? The Aldabras this side. So you're walking from the Aldabras, and you can go down and you see the giraffes through the fence. You don't see the building. You don't see any of the backstage. You just see the pagoda, and you just see the giraffes, and you can go down and see them from there. And it's just a whole new viewpoint. So that worked out better than having a massive fence there. Okay, so tour of how things are built then. So where do we start? Blimey, where do we even start? These are just stolen from the other side. I quite liked the style. I couldn't be bothered to make new ones, so I did that. Stole it. These are just your pillars and your trellises. Nothing special about those. And again, just like everything else, there's no trickery involved in any of these builds. It's all just out of the box pieces, just placed in a certain way. So I've lined this two fence principle all along the side. Your vegetation and everything matches what the giraffes would actually like. I've just come along here. I've hidden the solar panel with the wood log beams, and I've had to do that because of the escape points. So that's fine. It just needs to be done. This pagoda is a copy and paste job. So all I did was I laid down on it's actually the same way I did the roof for the gift shop. Lay down a triangle on the floor, fill it in with planks, and then raise it up to an angle, and then copy it across using the snap at 15 degrees. But what I did with this one is I didn't do it snap 15. I did it 180. So copied across to 180, so you get like a 2, and then 15 degrees around, and just kept copying, and then it had to be flipped up on its side, on its top end, so that you can then do the beams on the middle, because the light in here and the way that the shadows cast, you can't really see properly to design it. So it was better to flip it upside down so that the light was going into the umbrella. Really simple. It's not really much like to it. It is what it is. And I wanted to keep it simple because the focus is the giraffes, not the pagoda. So cool. And then round this way, nothing really here. We've got no power here because we don't have the elephants and stuff, so the boards aren't working, but that's fine, they will be. Usual stuff along here. The soil upside down and the stone walls. These are just your metal building pieces, 4 meter height. These are your 1 meter heights. These are just the beams from the South America pack, and then these are the planks that came with the base game, just put into an A, V, whatever you want to call it. Nothing really in here. Girders, plaster panel, off-grid plaster panel, and then glass and beams just to create the posts. And then along here it's all your plaster walls, all your wood out of the box. And this is your giraffe sculpture that comes with the New World theme. So yeah, there's nothing in here that is particularly built differently. This is your New World fence, just put into a triangle, just to cover it up, and then I've put the soil inside. This time though, the soil in this one isn't turned upside down; it's the right way up. I wanted to have a bit of variation, so and then this is your wooden floor. These are just your New World plants with reeds in it. And out here, I have varied the terrain. So obviously we know that the guest area is higher than the building area because you can't go down steps, obviously. So I've just varied the terrain in between the buildings, so it's not just a slope; it's small hills, small rolling hills, just to give it a bit of character and a bit of life. And then I've just used the rock work along here just to keep the 2 meter height and to make sure that the traversable area is wider than the guest area would be. So in reality, the giraffe, even in real life, and I think I need to fill this in. But even in real life, the giraffe wouldn't come this close to the pagoda. They would literally stop here. They wouldn't even try and go and see the guests at that point. So that wouldn't stress them out. They're pretty timid when it comes to being around people, and they get used to being around people. As I said in one of the updates, they get quite used to it. They'll happily eat from your hand, but they won't let you stroke them. So cool. Okay, so that's where we're sitting. There we go. That's our giraffe habitat, and it's looking quite good in the sun. So we just need to do the bit behind with the elephants, and then the bit beside with the pandas, and that area is going to be cool. I think it's going to look good. So thank you so much for coming along for the ride today. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for getting to the end. So if you want to know when the next episode comes out, then absolutely subscribe and ring the bell, and you'll get notified of when that episode goes out. If you've got anything you want to say about the zoo, any suggestions, any comments, or anything like that, let me know down below. I'll reply pretty much to everybody that does. And if you like the video, don't forget to like. But otherwise, thank you guys. I will see you all soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.